IELTS with Coach Brad. Listening, Task 2. You are now going to hear a recording describing locations at the head office of the State Electrical Department. You now have some time to read questions 1 to 6. Good morning and welcome to the head office for your first day of work at the State Electrical Department. It really is a great place to work. Since today is the start of your orientation week, you'll need to absorb a lot of new information. I think the best place to start is by giving a tour of the building which you will be working in. I'm going to start by showing you each part of the office in no particular order. Let's start with the General Manager's office. That's probably the most important room because if he decides he wants to speak to you, you'll need to move there quickly. He tends to be quite impatient. From the entrance, you need to go through the door on the eastern wall of reception. Follow that hall to the end and you'll see a large building with a curved outer wall. That's the General Manager's office, and as you would expect, it has the most space and the best view. Okay, moving along. The male and female bathrooms are next to each other. To get there from the entrance, go through the door which is straight ahead. Continue straight down the hall until the end and follow it as it bends to the right. Once again, go straight until the end of the hall. The male bathroom will be on your left and the female bathroom will be on your right. The technical supervisor's room is a little easier to get to. Can you see that there are two doors on the opposite wall to the entrance? Don't take the door on the left with the long hallway. Instead, go through the door which is to the right of it and you have found the technical supervisor's room. If you ask me, it's a bit of a sad room because it doesn't have any natural light. Anyways, I'm not sure that you'll have much direct communication with the Earthworks department, especially because they'll be moving out of the office soon. So you might see a removals company clearing things out in the next few days. It's probably best to stay out of their way as they have a lot of heavy furniture. To get there, walk north through the main hall and turn right at the end. Once you have turned the corner, you need to take the door which is second on the left. Don't take the door on the right at the same spot, otherwise you'll end up on the main office floor. I guess I should point out the supplies room. That's the room on the western side of the building. It's mostly used as a storeroom, but if you do need more stationery, paper, ink, that type of thing, then you can find it there. From the hallway opposite the entrance, it's the first door on the left. If you have reached accounting, it means you have walked too far. And lastly is the call centre. This is a particularly noisy area of the building, and I'm not sure what we can do about that. It's located next to accounting, on the north side of the building. I've got an important meeting to attend now, so it's a good time for you to grab a cup of coffee and maybe go to the bathroom. Let's meet on the main office floor in 15 minutes and I'll tell you a little bit more about the workplace. That is the end of questions 1 to 6. You now have some time to check your answers and read questions 7 to 10. I'm back. Thanks for waiting. Let's continue. So where was I? Yes, I wanted to talk about the supplies room. If you go in there, you'll probably see a couple of bicycles. They're owned by the company and we actually need them on certain work sites in areas where large vehicles are restricted. Just because the work bikes are there doesn't mean you can park your own in there. If you ride to work, there's a bike shed outside the building for staff to use. Although I don't mind if you use the room to take private calls, because it can get a bit loud on the main office floor and the supply room is the quietest in the building. There's also a spare fridge in there, but I wouldn't waste your time putting your lunch in it because it's broken. This really is a lovely old building. and was actually used in most of the 1900s by the local council. They moved out in 1998, at which point no one really knew what to do with it. A local private school wanted to use it for storage, but that felt like a waste. Ultimately, the government decided to open up an art museum, which remained until 2014 before it moved to another location. It was then that the electrical department moved in. I spoke to you earlier about the earthworks department and how they'll soon be moving out of the office. It never really was a perfect spot for them, and finally they are going to move to a smaller place, about 20 kilometres outside of the city. As most of the earthworks construction is done in country areas, it really doesn't make any sense to have the senior staff located in the city centre. And finally, there's just one more thing I wanted to mention now, just so that it doesn't become a bigger problem in the future. Sometimes you'll hear the staff complaining about all sorts of problems. I think that type of thing happens at every workplace. The main issue is that parking is extremely limited and only the senior staff get spaces. You are welcome to rent your own personal car space in the parking garage, but at $40 a day, it starts to become too expensive for most people. On the positive side, there's plenty of great restaurants and cafes nearby, and there's a really lively atmosphere as soon as you walk outside the office and onto the main road. Now that that's out of the way, let's go to your workspace. That is the end of listening task 2. You now have some time to check your answers.